पारुल यूनिवर्सिटी के प्लेसमेंट्स का कोई रिप्लेसमेंट नहीं, इसलिए टॉप कंपनीज की फर्स्ट चॉइस। आप तो समझ ही गए होंगे। जॉइन पारुल यूनिवर्सिटी, वडोदरा, गुजरात।
Today, we go inside a courtroom drama that could shake the tech industry to its very core and challenge the power of one of the most influential men in the world, Mark Zuckerberg. But we're not just talking about tech. We're talking about something far more personal. You, your habits, your thoughts, even your emotions, and how they might be shaped by a single company, Meta, or we should say a single person, Mark Zuckerberg. You may know it as Facebook, but today, Meta owns Instagram, WhatsApp, and many more applications. For billions of people, those apps are where we connect, share, celebrate, grieve, scroll, and sometimes lose ourselves. But how much of that connection is really ours, and how much of it is being designed, monitored, and monetized by a corporation? That is what a federal court in Washington is trying to answer right now, because Mark Zuckerberg, Meta CEO, is facing a trial that could change everything. The CEO of Meta, parent company of Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp, has taken the stand in a high-stakes trial that could decide whether Meta will be forced to break up. What is at stake? Not just billions of dollars in advertising revenue, but your data, your choices, and maybe even your behavior. A decade ago, Zuckerberg made two major moves. In 2012, Meta bought Instagram. In 2014, WhatsApp. Billions were spent, and at that time, it seemed simple, just smart business. But now, regulators are asking, was it something more than that? Was Meta trying to give users better tools, or was it trying to remove anything that might threaten Facebook's dominance at that time? As per Federal Trade Commission, documents show Zuckerberg may have had a motive beyond just growth. Emails reviewed by the FTC suggest Zuckerberg saw these apps as the potential threats. He wanted to neutralize competitors before they could challenge Facebook. So Meta did not just compete, it bought them. And that, the FTC says, is where the antitrust problem begins. They argue Meta has cornered the market for apps people use to share with friends and family. That's the key difference, not apps like TikTok or Reddit where users broadcast to strangers, but private personal communication platforms. Meta, of course, denies wrongdoings. Zuckerberg says his company just didn't predict how social media interaction would change with time. Today, only around 20% of content on Facebook and 10% on Instagram comes from users' friends. The rest from influencers, brands, and content tailored by algorithms. Basically, not your social circle. Now, those platforms, once independent, are fully integrated into the Meta machine. And every message, every photo, every heartbeat shared helps Meta learn more about who we are. Think about it. Meta knows when you're happy, when you're sad, when you click, what you ignore, what you might buy, what you might vote for or feel something. That's influence. And for years, critics have accused Meta of using that influence irresponsibly. But that is not the full story. This case is about whether Meta strategically bought up rivals to crush competition, and in doing so, gained massive leverage over how you spend your time online, what content you see, and what data you give away. Meta owns 3 of the most widely used communication tools on earth right now. Every message, like, scroll, pause, and comment adds to the company's colossal data profile on you. And while WhatsApp is end-to-end encrypted, its metadata, like who you talk to, how often and when can still be incredibly valuable. It can be incredibly valuable. The FTC is worried that this creates an ecosystem where Meta knows more about you than any other company in the whole world. Here's the thing. Meta doesn't just collect this data. It uses it to sell ads, influence decision, and keep you scrolling. And that power, it is incredibly profitable. This is not about technology. This is about psychology. Meta's platforms are designed to anticipate your next move, to predict what you want to see, but also maybe to influence what you think, feel, and do. We have all felt it, that oddly accurate ad, that post that made you angry, the infinite scroll that somehow kept you up an hour longer than you really planned. It has happened to you. This is not accidental. This is a system built on you. Now Meta says this is all above board. They say they are competing, pointing to TikTok, YouTube, even Apple's iMessage. In fact, they argue that during a brief US shutdown of TikTok in January this year, traffic surged to Instagram and Facebook. But the FTC disagrees. They argue that these platforms aren't interchangeable. Snapchat and Mevi, yes, Mevi, a tiny privacy-focused app, are Meta's only real competition in the personal sharing space. So, what happens if the Federal Trade Commission wins this lawsuit? Meta might be forced to sell Instagram or WhatsApp or both, a breakup, a tech world earthquake, especially when Meta's growth, its data pipeline, and its ad machine depends heavily on these two platforms. And here's what is really at stake: our behavior, our preferences, even our political choices. As this case unfolds, we are learning just how close Meta has been to power. Since Trump's election, Meta has rolled back many policies, made political donation, and its CEO, Mark Zuckerberg, has made several visits to the White House. Some see this as a shift from opposition to alignment. But the FTC's antitrust push is not just limited to this. And this trial, which could stretch to July, is a part of a broader movement to hold all big tech accountable, from Amazon to Apple to Google. Meta is at a crossroads. The company argues it built the future of digital communication. The FTC says it bought it before anyone else had the chance. So the question remains, does Meta empower us or control us? And should one company have so much power over what we see, what we share, and how we live our lives online? If Meta controls the platforms we trust most with our memories, our conversations, our relationships, then maybe this is not just about competition. Maybe it's about autonomy. So the next time you open Instagram or send a message on WhatsApp, ask yourself, who is really in control and what is it costing you?